my love, my sweet, fine feminine. I I find myself in, I don't know how to explain it, the throes of deep emotions. So many things are happening all at once. And I almost, sometimes I feel like, I don't know how to describe it. I feel like I've got, I don't know, maybe a better connection to spirit. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I've just got some spirit guides that are just getting real good at thumping me on the head when I'm not listening. Maybe I'm just paying attention more to it. I swear sometimes when I'm not acting right, and I know I'm not standing in my truth, I'm choosing bad behaviors, I'm letting people walk all over me or tell me what to do, or when I'm being the bad guy, and it just, I mean, it almost feels like, I don't know, like every bit of my being starts reacting almost viscerally. I can't hear, I can't see, I can't think straight, I can't eat, I can't sleep. It's like, I don't know, I it's almost, I suppose, in a way like having someone inside me nagging me constantly, masculine, you know what you're supposed to be doing right now. Don't let those people talk to you like that. Don't let them trick you into thinking something is true that isn't, and say you're sorry when you do the wrong things, and save money for the things that are important to you, and take time for you, and darn it, reach out to your feminine. What are you waiting for? And lately, it's like, I don't know, I'm torn between feeling like I've been under some kind of spell that I know couldn't have been you, and yet also wondering if you put some sort of spell on me, because when I reach out to you, even if you're angry at me, I feel better. It's the strangest feeling. There's no one else that I feel like that with. In fact, the people that I told myself that I loved and was committed to, and that they loved me in their flawed ways, and when I tried to connect with them, I mean, what's funny is I already heard the buzzing in my ears. I already felt it, found it hard to clearly see them. It was like they were blurry, and even without that stuff, without the blinding headaches and all the obvious signs spirit has been showing me that I've been ignoring, they just weren't very good at holding space anyways. I found myself becoming this version of myself that it kind of reminded me of who I thought I had to be growing up. Like, the masculines don't have emotions. They don't break down. They don't make mistakes. They don't say sorry. They just focus on work. That's what they do. And they do what they're told, and that's it. And, the only emotion they share, if anything, is anger and reactivity. But that's not who I want to be, and I just, it's so funny because I spent so much time in this separation convincing myself that that's what I needed to do. And I don't know if I'll ever admit it to you in real life, but a lot of me thought that that's who you needed me to be. Because a lot of me messing up with us and not coming to you and running from you, those were my emotions getting the better of me. And I thought that I just needed to be, what would you call it, more King of Cups. I just needed to keep it to myself, not show anybody any vulnerability, but least of all you. I mean, you've held so much space for my emotions. I didn't want you to feel like you had to continue doing that when I couldn't even reciprocate any of that. But I realized even even in small moments with you, like I sometimes I test the waters and I send you It's funny, even just thinking about sending you something that is an emotional truth for me, even if it's just a small thing, like I'm frustrated at work right now, or I'm sad about not hearing from my sibling, or I miss my mom or my dad. Just thinking about it, just thinking about talking to you about it, it feels good. It feels right. And when I think about and actually do share with you even bigger feelings, I feel like I almost feel like I purge years of repressed emotions and things like that. And then it makes me realize I like myself so much better when I'm just honest about how I feel. And what's funny is I do feel better when I'm honest with anybody, but you hold space for me in a different way than I've ever known anybody to. And lately, feminine, you amaze me because I watched you glow up and build this radiant confidence that I cannot deny is completely irresistible, and any amount of me that thought for a minute that I could just be over you or move on went out the window when you put your confidence on. And as of lately, somehow you've managed to be both confident and kind, like you've made it very clear what ways I can and cannot interact with you, and it's not mean and it's not over the top, but you're also acknowledging that you are a high caliber feminine and that you have no reason to accept anything less than everything that you want. And I find that so attractive. And it's funny because just in seeing the way that you carry yourself so gracefully and elegantly, and yet you're still such a badass. I look around at the other feminines around me, and they act tough and they talk tough, and they'll talk about they could kick somebody's butt or things like that, or they'll do mean aggressive things, but they're not really that tough. They're scared and they just want control of everything. And I watch you, and I mean, it's funny because I know that you don't desire control over anything, not even me, and yet somehow it seems like that is exactly what gives you control over everything. I keep hearing that song, Power Over Me, and it just feels like you do, like you have this power over me, but I recognize that you also don't. It's weird to say. My words are not coming out in the ways that I wish that they would yet. I spend a lot of time, to be honest, writing out messages that I'm going to send to you, and I stop because they just don't feel right yet. And it's funny because even then, even when I kill myself for spending sometimes several hours thinking about what I'm going to say to you, and then decide not to, and I get down on myself thinking, see, you're not good enough for somebody as high caliber as her. She doesn't even have to think about her words, she just speaks them. And then I hear your voice in my heart saying, hey, just the fact that you're trying, that you're writing it out, that you're trying words on, that you're thinking about doing the right things, that is a step and it does count. And then I laugh because there are many voices from people from my life that wander in and out of my head all the time. And for a time, I had convinced myself that you were one of the negative ones, not because you'd necessarily said anything negative. I mean, you've shared some truths with me that did hurt, but you've never been a person for me that has sat there and said, masculine, you can't do this, or you're useless or inadequate or anything. In fact, the only times you've ever really been mad at me were for when I was making excuses and acting like I could not be as high caliber as you. But I find myself most often when the darkness calls the most, hearing your voice. And it's not loud, it's not a scream, it's not a demand, it's not a nag, it's just this simple, quiet voice, a little more than a whisper. telling me you can do this. And small steps are still steps. And honesty is definitely the best policy. It's a lot easier to keep track of than lies, and you feel better and more proud of yourself when you do things right the first time. And you become this voice in me that is always warm, that is always inviting. And when I'm the most stuck and the most lonely, even if we haven't talked in what feels like an eternity, I still hear you in me, and it makes me realize you've changed me. Or I don't know, I guess I've let myself be changed by you, and it made me realize how many times I've not allowed myself to be influenced by anyone or anything, and even how many times I resisted you when all you were doing was saying, "Dear masculine, please stop hurting yourself on these anxieties, and please work on these growth points so that you can experience happiness and not always be worried about everything and stuck in these dark karmic thoughts." And I just didn't want to be influenced in any way. Anytime I'd allowed myself to be influenced by anybody in the past, especially those who said that they loved me, it didn't go well. And you know what's funny is it's such a contrast now to have been with these karmics, to have been in my, to have even been my worst critic. And I realize even when, even just knowing you and having interacted with you in the ways that I have, just getting to experience your natural kindness and grace and uplifting character, that that's the thing I didn't have before. When I was locked in with karmics before, when I was growing up even, I didn't have anybody there just saying, "You've got this. And you can change your mind anytime you like. And that mistake you think you made, it's really not as bad as you think. And it's still a step in the right direction. And you deserve more of your attention than you give anybody else." And just all these things that you say, or think, I swear sometimes in my mind I hear things that I know you've never said, but they're like things that you have said, and it just feels so lifelike in many ways. And then when I do reach out to you in the 3D and you say something so much like what I heard, or even more profound, that it's like, wow, just when I thought that you couldn't get any better, you do. And to be honest, sometimes that intimidates me and that sends me right spiraling back into my own karmic thoughts, because I think, wow, I thought that my feminine was amazing enough and already very evolved where she was. Even in her worst moments and angry moments and stubborn moments, she's still so high above me. And then you amaze me and show me that you've gone even higher. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like, how could I ever catch up? But then I hear your voice again saying, "I'm not that high above you. You're higher than you think. And even if I was on a mountain peak, you can reach it. Just have faith in yourself, masculine." And I remember times we've talked about things like that, that anybody can do anything when they have faith in themselves. I find myself, I find now that even it's my own voice telling me things like that. And I know what you would say, that it's not you that did that, that it's me, but I know that even if it is me, I would have never thought to have thought those thoughts or think those things, or that I could ever change the way that I feel or do things or get unstuck from times when I've been stuck, if not for meeting you and knowing you and seeing you do everything I thought was impossible for anybody to do. And that feminine, my feminine, has changed me. And I choose to allow it to continue to change me.